Tashidele, I'm setting up my camera, which happens to be my phone.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche, for taking the time to kindly lead us through these very, very important and fascinating topics. We're truly fortunate. And welcome to everyone. On behalf of Venerable Khenpo Khalsang Gyaltsen, who is the abbot of Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk Temple in Walden, New York, who is hosting this wonderful teaching by Do Tulku Rinpoche. I welcome everyone to the third of our teachings. There are four scheduled, another one this afternoon. Rinpoche's topic is the ultimate view, according to a text known as Dispelling, Cataract of Darkness by the great abbot Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk. Rinpoche told us so many inspiring stories about Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk yesterday. It was very wonderful to know more about his holy life. So we're very fortunate that we have these teachings continuing. As you all know, Do Tulku Rinpoche that was a student of Khenpo Kunga Wangchuk for many years, and also is a graduate of Dzongtsar Institute in India, which Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk founded. Do Rinpoche is also the resident Lama and spiritual guide of Arya Tara's Net, which is an online community Buddhist center in Germany, and he's broadcasting from Germany today. So again, Rinpoche, thank you so much for your time yesterday and today. We're all eager to begin the teachings. Today, we'd like to request Jamyang Parchen, who is the one who is hosting the Zoom meeting today. Jamyang Tarchin will be leading us in the preliminary prayers. He's the president of the Sakyapunso Ling Center in Silver Spring, Maryland.
To the excellent Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until enlightenment is won. By the merit of giving and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. To the excellent Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until enlightenment is won. By the merit of giving and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. To the excellent Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until enlightenment is won. By the merit of giving and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. Prostrations to you, King of the Shakyas, whose body is radiant like a mountain of gold. Through skillful means and compassion, you conquered the hosts of Mara that others could not conquer. I prostrate to the 5 great Sakya founders, Sachin Kunga Ningbo, Sonam Tsemo, Jetsun Drakpa Gyaltsen, Sakya Pandita, and the Dharma King, Chogyal Pagpa. This is the ground, anointed by scented waters, bestrewn with flowers, and beautified by Mount Sumeru, the 4 continents, the sun, and the moon. By directing this offering to the realm of the Buddhas, may I place all beings in their pure lands. In accordance with the wishes and mental capacity of living beings, please turn the wheel of the Dharma, of the larger and smaller traditions.
Oh, that's so tashitele. Kanche zerjaro jirabene mandara dala dunu jindan dingin ru jimba se so ne belu nam kainda kanjir ne bajro jirab du gaveri badzba kain ba te datam je tharba tambe ko to be zuni jine dreshe je la da lamin miam ji bombo dan jajin la su je chola chawa je banam sangi sunra ru du ji dewe juro te da je dambe jini jine dreshe je kanda chu dong ge jikden na de chiklum ru ba kansu da Tengdir beji je charbib je nyambar de ba tam je dirse she namo lai ke da lu da nu jinge dubum da da mi chanam droga gunje tanam chitsambar tham je ge do da ge chu ten do pal den sa la mar rumbo je da ge chur be me de june kadin chambe gun je sum ko sung du je ngo do chal do so thab ge tu je sha je ri su thung shen ji mi tup du je pung chum ba Sergi lumbu dabru jibe go jaje jabe shabla chak lo chakpon kholo jibe jabo don jandon kaba sambu sange kangla gandhi tella terdemba tsumba cheres la chaza lo sije jawa dam ji bumbu jigdu basi jigun jibal jirwe jambe on la chaza lo kanji toni shinji panya la so dawan tawni chor jer je baddo je chan la chaza lo korwa le do tarema to tar jigje do no nam do moyam la chaza lo Nalindar Tugdam Siktenju Zamshan Kala Shikshanti Deva Shijabe Lama de la Chatsal Shijatam Jizabe Jayamba Dugunji Lidube Tujajin Sami Tilizabetanga Jamgala Mejabla Gujaza Jijatam Jizabe Jayamba Dugunji Lidube Tujaj Sami Tilizabetanga Jamgala Mejabla Gujan So Depsulama Kanseva Jisum Shilama Sajana Shinji Demin Gala Children signal Mackenzie home. Two generations Mackenzie. Mackenzie de Chin up there in Manila Chamber the Chin. Chokutal, Ningi Colon, Namsam Kangi, Chowdown so, Nisem touch it, Tambe Meba, Tegun Gumbo, Suzuji. Yasutu, Namdra something, Jachetala, Nersolju, Yapting, Lashentala, Rava Magic Kanginda. Ninsen, Kundu Jamen Kubesam Jinchi Tukji, Shutun Menja Sringi Rangini, Lebese, Tatung, Kenyam Major Pardo Caption, Solver Major Chu. Ho, Jin of Jones and Pemagas Rotombola, Yansen Choking Mudumni, Pemachu, Shesut. Cordo, Kandra Momba, Goro Chiji, Jisota, Dubji, Jinji, Lobjer, Shekso Sol, Guru Pema City Home, Kusum Lama, Sojetuji. 달라쳐 도문종 어렵자도 지금 맞을라 저them 가jem 버짐 미주 치튼친 삼바드바다 쇼당 도문 어렵자도 소 good to see mm, good to see you all again somehow you decided to show up again today. Proof of karma. And we have tea. So, as you remember, we are going through this text composed by one of my teachers, whose name, if I must take, was Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk Tashi Trabe Jelsen Pal Sangpo. I think he established Dzongtsar in 1985. And as I was saying yesterday, when I tried to think about his qualities, it's just, my mind just someone like him whose only concern was continuation of Buddha Dharma and to benefit of beings. You may see this, the current Dzongtsar Institute, which is so huge. I remember this Ladakhi grandma, Ladakh people, they love doing pilgrimage, so they also come to Dzongtsar. And she obviously didn't know that we could all hear her. She was shouting, "Oh, the entire Ladakh population can fit in this monastery." We had a good laugh about that. And true, it's huge, it's magnificent. It was not like that. It was out of necessity that Rinpoche had to do that. When I first came to Dzongtsar, we were still in Deer Park, which now is known as Deer Park, was Dzongtsar in Bir. It was so small. And every year, Khenchen Rinpoche would have to reject basically 80 to 100 monks. There's no space. When I first entered, I got a room because some sort of lama, but all of my classmates, they like almost 80 monks in one big hall for 1 year. That's their room, like that. So out of sheer necessity, Rinpoche had to travel everywhere. And when he would teach in Dzongtsar, they had almost nothing. The older monks would tell us that sometimes for lunch we would just boil water and drink that. this is lunch. Rinpoche would come again and again to the kitchen and check how much rice is there. Okay. But during those days, he would teach sometimes 8 sessions per day and completely neglect his health. And that's how he became quite ill. Even then, he could barely walk, and all kinds of devices in his body, but he would still travel so that he could build this place so that whoever wants to study can study. And there was never a question. The only restriction would be if you are too young, then you will not be allowed. The youngest is, I think, was 14. He allowed 14-year-old. Younger than that, he would not accept. Otherwise, it doesn't matter where you come from, which tradition you belong to. There is no such question. That's also really unique about Dzongtsar. So I grew up then in this kind of place where At the peak, we had 500 monks, and among those 500 monks, 250 were sakyas, and maybe 150 kajus, and then the remainder is Nyingma, like that. And so, and also our class teachers, the Khenpos. Sometimes when you're fortunate, the Khenpo will just read one stanza, and then usually in all monastic schools, you will only hear the explanation, maybe in Indian master, and then the whatever lineage that they belong to, the way they explain that one, arguments, whatever they will like, only theirs. Because also there's no time. The uniqueness of Dzongsar was that if the Khenpo is good, if your class teacher is really good, for just one stanza, specifically, important points, they'll go through all traditions. The great Tsongkhapa says this, and then, Sakya Pandita says this, the Gorampa says this, and then Longchen Rabjam, Mitham Rinpoche, Karmapas, and it's just so enriching, and I hope it still is. I'm sure it still is, and that was the uniqueness of Dzongsar, that he preserved. He carried it with him from Tibet. That's how it was, and that's how it was kept. I doubt it. Anywhere else you go, it will be difficult to find such an open space. We never had even once ever any argument or battlefield, like fight between scholars of different traditions, because our teacher was like that. Sometimes the class teachers, the main base is Khenpo Zhenga's commentary. I want to say this because how unique it is. Again, it's Khenpo Zhenga was from Nyingma tradition, actually. So Dzongsar's main documents, the main base is Khenpo Zhenga's what we call is Chendral. What is Chendral? Brief commentary. This is very short. And Khenpo Zhenga, the reason why the previous Khense decided to do that, depend on that, was Khenpo Zhenga relied on no Tibetan commentary, no Tibetan tradition to write that commentary. He only relied on Indian commentary. So it was, you can say, the closest to the Indian tradition, something that all traditions can accept. So Dzongsar's main base is that. And on top of that was Gorampa's commentary. These great Sakya scholars that I was talking about. And then during, sessions, if there is a Kaju monk, he will read, if he's a Kamsang Kaju, he read Karmapa's commentary and argue with the teacher. He say, Karmapa said this, but I don't accept it because, like this. If it's a Dupa Kaju, maybe Pema Karpo's commentary he will read and come to argue. And that was totally fine. This, just to think about that, the freedom, the atmosphere that was generated. So that's all from Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk. I have heard many times that, in ancient times, monks and nuns who keep perfect discipline, they have a scent. There is a scent, what do you call it, like not perfume, not incense, but just sweet smell. Really, you can smell it. Fragrance. Thank you. I have a half English, half Spanish monk here. Fragrance. I always thought, Rinpoche is the attendants must be using a very special incense. It's very sweet. Later, I heard from other reliable lamas that was the scent of fragrance of his discipline. These kind of things. The way he died, also shows his command, his and where he lived. Khenchen Kunga one day, the attendants lost him. He's gone. Where is Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk? He's gone. He's so old, he can barely stand up and walk, but he was gone. So they found him, just not so far from his residence, trying to help even an older lady. They have a Chantra Dongsa nearby. There's this Tibetan village, Indian village. From the Indian village, there used to be one very, very old lady come. Sometimes she begs, sometimes. This time she was trying to gather some wood. And she's about to fall down, he's about to fall down. They both just, but he just won't give up. Trying to, yeah. And people like him really, and his memory, when he talks about the places he's seen, even once, he remembers the kind of type of plants, flowers, trees, birds, names of people, how many brothers and sisters, names of each one, sometimes even what they do as livelihood. He remembers everything. It was such a, in so many ways, how to say, fortunate experience for us to really witness a true guardian of Dharma, someone who so so this text is composed by him. Yesterday we also talked about different kinds of, mainly we talked about the mistaken views. Mistaken views that we find in Buddhist schools and non-Buddhist schools. First we went through non-Buddhist, well, kind of, and then Buddhist schools. On the path of purification, all of this has to be purified. You might think, why do I need to know about these schools at all? You never know what kind of karmic imprint and seed you're carrying to believe what kind of strange view. One of these days, you may be physically weak or mentally weak, and then suddenly something bizarre will make sense to you. Shantideva says, Shiva doesn't teach you na. Normally, crows, they cannot hunt poisonous snakes. But when the snake is dying, about to die, is very weak, even a crow acts like an eagle. They just sort of go round and round, because you're weak. Similarly, when you're strong mentally, physically, things look fine. Everything is fine. You think there's no problem. The issue starts when you. So that's why we go through these views. As the great Tsongkhapa said, it's important, necessary to know, not just know the correct view, but in the process of knowing the correct view, to block all possibilities of any other reality. Because reality, there cannot be many realities. Ultimately, it's either this or that, or neither. You cannot just have all. Why did Siddhartha Gautama said, there is no creator. Why did he do that? Did he, because he did not like them? Because he wanted to, what do you call it, become a just a revolutionary? Not at all. He saw that everything comes from their own unique causes and conditions. So one thing cannot create all things. That's not possible. It's irrational, not logical, doesn't make sense at all. And there is no proof. And there is no functionality of this extra creator, extra cause. You saw, you plant a seed of whatever, a tree into the ground. That seed is the main cause. And you have warmth, water, right? Sunlight, water, soil. And as it is, so it will grow. And as it is growing, it should be protected somehow. Nobody should eat it or uproot it. And if that happens, it just grows. There is no additional role for anyone to play. It's a simple fact. And so is it, there is no, I see no reason for creating. Even if there would be such a being, what is the purpose of such a being? There is no such a, like that. Same goes with the self-grasping. Why do we talk about selflessness so much? When we talk about selflessness, if you think that the non-existence of self is the reality, then you were very mistaken. That's like saying this cup, let's say this cup is completely empty, meaning there's nothing in this cup. Someone is convinced that there is tea in this cup. So then your job is to convince this person there is no tea. Then if this person begins to think no tea is the reality of this cup, that's another issue now. So everything is just based on necessity. That's all. There is no. One of the qualities of the Buddha was that he did not teach because he knew. He taught because it was necessary. This is a really important quality of Buddha. Remember we talked a little bit about Brahmana Vartika yesterday. Yes, there is one argument is about, is Buddha really omniscient or not? So argument about omniscience. At which point Dharmakirti really says, I don't care. I don't care if this guy knows everything at all. What am I going to do by knowing what's happening behind this mountain? This is none of my concern. All I am concerned is, does he know suffering? Does he know a way out of suffering? Does he know the cause of the suffering, the way out of the suffering? Has he seen the cessation of suffering? That's all I care. So necessity. So here too, we are saying, okay, these non-Buddhist schools have this kind of mistaken views. So, they cannot gain liberation just depending on that. Buddhist schools also this kind of non-mistaken views. So not to be positioning yourself as the best among all of these. That's never the moment you do it, you have already lost. View, ultimately, correct view is earned through devotion. Yesterday someone asked, there is such a thing as blind faith, blind devotion. We don't have that. That one is like shooting in the dark. You might hit it, but you really might not hit it also. It's just blind. People of my great-grandmother generation, I remember, nothing can shake their trust. Doesn't matter. Even when, forget about like Dharma practitioner, Even when an ordinary monk misbehaves, she says, oh, this must be my own, what is it, impure perception. Nothing can, that kind of blind trust, that's time is gone now. But that kind of blind trust, if you have, and if you have it for luckily, by chance, towards the right sort of source, that works. But sadly, we don't have that. We are neither very wise nor that ignorant. So we're somewhere in between. We know a little bit, but not thoroughly. So for us, then yes, devotion is earned through contemplation, contemplating the qualities of teachers, Gautama Buddha, contemplating your own whatever afflictions you may have. From contemplating on your own afflictions, you generate renunciation. Tiredness, that's enough now. When will this end? That kind of feeling, that's renunciation. You see yourself doing the same thing every day, again. There's no end to it. Okay. And then contemplating, when you think about the qualities of Siddhartha Gautama, Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, this kind of people, Aryadeva, or okay, we're talking to mainly a Sakyapa group here, then of course, the great qualities of Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk. Wow, when you talk, you guys should get familiar with these people. Really, that should be the basic requirement. To call yourselves. First of all, to call yourself a Buddhist, you should at least know who was Buddha. Doesn't it sound like a rational thing to do? He could be just a, what do you call it, a wise ass who just knows how to talk. You don't know. You should try to look into his life. What did he actually do? His life was not hidden. There were hundreds, thousands of people watching him live, walk, talk. There's so many accounts. And if, yes, Sakyapa, at the least you should know Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk. And Sonam Tsemo, that's just like the bare minimum you should be doing. This is really lacking in our tradition. If you just catch any Kajupa, they'll tell you entire biography of Milarepa. What Marpa did, what Tiloba did. This is their fortune, they're married, they know who they are, they know where they belong. You catch a Nyingma, but they tell you what Guru Rinpoche did, Eshi Tsojal did, and then they have their own individual lineage gurus, Terten, this and that, and this is their fortune. That's how it should be. They know where they belong. So, generation of view, knowing alone, intellectual knowing alone, it does not work. Meditating by yourself alone also sadly does not work. It's the utter complete trust comes from this kind of sense of devotion. Trust, that's what it is. Devotion is trust. And people like us, we gain devotion through knowing. through analyzing, through contemplating. So we talked about, amongst Buddhist school, we talked about Vaibhasika school. Then Sutantrika, don't be alarmed by these names, but basically these formation of these different schools mainly depended upon their different views. And views, as I was saying, is so important. Now more than ever. It used to be earlier that if your conduct is good, if you are a good man, a woman, a person, sometimes you can say some strange things, because you're not perfect. That was kind of, well, he or she at least did a lot of good, But now it's not, nobody cares about conduct anymore. It's all about your view, what you believe, what you said this means that. This is what it means. So you are this. They give you the name, probably something phobic, whatever. That's important for us, isn't it? View. That's what it is. Just this. It's all about view. In Europe these days, there's a lot of, not as strong as the Americans. You have what is this? Democratic, Republican. That's just like what is it? no one gives way to the other. That's similarly here too. Now it's right wing, left wing, or Hollander, Netherlands, the right wing party won. Now what's going to happen? It's all view. It's so important for us. So here too, it's nothing different. View makes us, breaks us. View is what imprisons us in samsara, and view is the only thing that liberates us. In the Hevajra Tantra, Rinchen similarly, Shenjur was Sangimi. Outside of the mind, there is no Buddha, no being, mind. View is the mind. Or as Nagarjuna said, Dini Korvashi, Dini Nangin Devani. It's all about the view that this is the samsara, this is the nirvana. If you recognize it, it is samsara. If you do not, it's the nirvana. Still talking about the view. Now in Vajrayana, we have just the means and method of establishing view, wisdom. It's just so vast, it's myriad. Now the sutra path too, there are so many. One of the method which is really trusted is this: hearing, contemplation, meditation. So Vaibhasika school believes in a lot of things, not just in form and mind, in the true existence of form and mind, but so many other things. Whereas then comes the next school, which is Sutantrika, saying whatever you guys, most of this is mistaken, and they have good reason, they prove it. Yet they maintain the belief in a true existence of the smallest particle of form, what is known as partless particle, Dulchen Chame, as I was saying, to remind you, because they're convinced that big things cannot come if there aren't smaller things. So now you can break sort of a thing that is this big into a smaller part, but at some point you should reach somewhere and say, this is it, we cannot go any further. And so they say that is the smallest of all things. So they believe that. And then also mind. Mind, for example, when you look at, what could be a good example? Okay, just a thought. Just a thought. When you, how I want to use a traditional example. So, traditional example is, there is a definition of everything. Everything has a definition. So you have definition of tree. What is a tree? And then you have this, what do you call it? Things that are defined as trees, like an apple tree and mango tree. So you may look at these two and think, those two are trees. Those two are trees. That's your thought, and you think that is real. You think that is your mind. The apple tree, the mango tree are trees, both trees. I don't know. Don't ask me why I use this example, but somehow, But actually, so that's what you think. But then the Sotantrika, they understood it's not one thing. This thought is actually a ceaseless continuation, a process that happens in a duration of time. It's not, if it is one phenomenon, it has to happen together. It cannot half exist now. The beginning exists now, but not middle and the end now. And then the middle exists now, not the beginning and the end. And then the end of this thought exists, but not the middle and the beginning. This doesn't work. Then it means it's not one thing. It's three different things. So when you are looking at the apple tree, you're not thinking about the rest. You're not, the rest hasn't even started. When you're looking at the other one, that's what I mean, that the thoughts, it's all a process. Within thoughts too, you find what I'm using is the thought, that the verbal thoughts. Because this is a good example, verbal thoughts that you have, where you are actually using language in your mind. And you think it's one thing, but it's not. Even when you think my name is this, what is he doing? What am I saying? It's not mind. None of these are, it's just when you're thinking what is he doing, hasn't happened yet. And so this is the way of breaking this. You break it through time, change, moments. Form can be broken into pieces, but mind is best to break them through time, past, present, future. So these people understood. Now, according to Shakyamuni Gautama, when a healthy person snaps, things have changed 65 times in that duration. So that's our idea of what do you call it? Is millisecond, right? Our idea of that, the ancient Indian way of talking about a very short duration of time. So that only the yogis see. This is such a subtle change. That means, which obviously now we know. We have camera that takes 500 frames per second. 500 frames per second. They broke it down into 500 parts. Thousands of frames per second. Isn't there 100,000 frames now? Somebody actually captured the light traveling inside a Coke bottle, Coca-Cola empty bottle. That shortest duration, that's how you cut the mind. When you do that shortest duration, even if it is a thought that says, I will kill that person. But the thought, when it's broken down into the shortest form, it's completely pure. Okay, now this way I'm going to other direction. But here, so this is what the Tantrika believe. The smallest particle, or what they call atom, actually, that's how the name atom come from India, Anu. And then there's this shortest duration of time, the mind. Maybe it's good for you to know these things, like a break from your daily trauma, daily issues. All right. Then comes Chitta Matra. Chitta Matra says, hey, it doesn't make sense. Remember that the argument about the gathering of atoms and how these particles cannot gather? This is so good. It's really, really good. Yeah, but they hold on to the belief that the mind, a very subtle form of mind, truly exists. They hold on to that. Form doesn't exist. Form is merely creation of mind. This I think this has to be accepted, and probably they do. Even when we talk about like light, why do we see things? We can only see them when the light that reflects from that object, it comes back, right? That's the only way we can see anything. That means by the time you're seeing, that thing is gone. Whatever you're seeing, you have to accept that. Somebody wrote 70 trillion frames per second. There you go. Yeah. So but yes, they believe like this. And so now the argument of the Madyamaka masters then come and, okay, you chitta, you mind only people. You have understood the non-existence, that sort of the emptiness of form. But you have not understood the emptiness of mind itself, the cause of that form. And so the mind is again then, what do you call it, established as not truly existing. Okay, let's do this. If you are completely exhausted or having a bad day, I'm really sorry, but okay, these are durations of shortest duration of mind. Let's say what now Madhyamika, we do not believe that there is such a thing as shortest duration of time. Matter of fact, we believe that between two moments there should be eternity between those two moments. If there is a stop somewhere, we get into a big problem. We find something that is then truly existing. So same with this form, like an atom, whatever. We believe that it has to just go on, become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until our mind just cannot fathom it anymore. Just not then we just call it nothingness, because we just cannot, we don't know what to do anymore, where to grasp anymore. Similarly, between the two moments, but we play, sort of not play, but as argument with the Chitta Matra, when you argue with someone, you have to argue using their language. So we argue using their language, shortest duration of time or shortest duration of mind, let's say. That's the smallest, what do you call it? instant, in shortest instant, smallest instant of mind. So then they people like Arya Deva say, okay, so this is number one, let's say this number 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes on. So the string of this is a thought. String of this is your consciousness, your happiness and joy and all that. If that is so all of these, your entire existence depends on these very, very subtle mind, the existence of these subtle mind. That is so. Let's analyze that, he says. So from the first moment of your mind comes the second moment of your mind, right? The first moment ceases and the second moment starts. When the second moment is there, the first moment just ceased, third moment is not here yet. So he argues, during the second moment, is there a part of this second moment that is closer to the first, but a bit further from the third? Or is it equally close to the first and the third? You understand? But if you say during the second moment, and they say that they talk about birth, abiding, and then cessation. Madhyamikans don't talk like that. For Madhyamikans, birth and cessation must happen at the same time. That's it. If you talk about, if you separate these two time, you get into issue. But here, Chittamatrans believe that there is birth and cessation, and birth and cessation not the same. And so, if you say that there is a step during the second moment, the beginning of the second moment is closer to the first moment, and the end of the second moment is closer to the third moment. There you go. It's not partless. There is so many parts. There's a beginning and an end. Obviously, there has to be a middle. Wow. How can you have beginning and end if no middle? It doesn't make sense. So that if you say, this is this is from Arya Deva, direct student of Nagarjuna's, probably 1000 some, I don't know how many years ago. So then he said, if there is no difference, the beginning of the second moment is equally close to the third and equally close to the first, then all of the moments should collapse into the second moment. Now, it's kind of very similar to the argument about the atom. Very sharp reasoning, this one. You can, now that's one way to talk about the emptiness of mind. Quite intellectual. When you do this kind of things, you analyze like this, you meditate, and in your mind you go through the arguments, and when you're at the end of the argument, if you still find something, you keep analyzing. At some point, you don't really know what to think, and that moment you stop analyzing and just sort of remain. It's like a strange moment of letting go, and you just, sort of like, I don't know. Yes. Okay. Is it a break time? Not. Okay. Chittamatra. Another way of analyzing about mind. Talking about mind. Mind is a very strange thing. It's so strange. it does not find itself. Okay. Yet it is looking. Okay. Traditionally, then those of you who have studied ways of Bodhisattva, there Shantideva argues, he says afflictions, it's still afflictions of mind, mental factors. He says afflictions, where are they? He says, when you are attached, for example. So he says, where is this attachment? Is it upon the object itself? Say there is a phenomenon that you are really attached to. Now this attachment, is it really upon that object? If it is, that you are attached to it because the attachment is there and you are getting the attachment from this object, then anyone who look at this object should get attached. But that's not true. But then is it in my eyes? Also not true. Then anywhere I should look, I should get attached. Right now he's analyzing faculty, by the way. Or is it somewhere between me and this phenomenon? Also doesn't work. So then he says, where is it that it is ruining this whole world? It's ruling this whole world. Why are we so afraid of this? This kind of, we will talk more about actually analyzing mind. We have to when we get to the Madyamaka and then to the sectable view. Yeah. do you have questions? Yeah. Okay, there's one in the chat. Can you give some good source for reading about the Sakta patrons? Especially, I would like to know about Louis Wangpo. Thank you in advance. So many sources. But you want in English. I think Cyrus Stern has translated the, I think the book is called Luminous Life, Luminous Lives, probably something like that. It's a translation of basically history of Lamde and Lamde masters. That may help. And I don't know, maybe yeah, I'm sure there are many. Yeah. Louis Wangpo, I don't know where you can find his biography. Yes, Cameron.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for these amazing teachings and the opportunity to ask you a question. The question is, could you kind of say more about the problem with all moments collapsing into one or all particles collapsing? Why is that a bad conclusion?
Oh, then there can be no change. Let's say if all moments collapse into one moment, then the whole notion of time, this illusion of time cannot happen because there will be no change. You know, like if all particles collapse into one particle, there can be no form, visible form. To form visible form, they should not collapse into one, rather they should build, right? And so we have visible form like that. For example, great Jetsun Trapa Jelsen, this which is built from this kind of realization that there is no, inherently there is no form, there is no, this notion of size, big and small, first of all, is very personal. Yet, because I say something, you say something, sounds similar, and many times it works, the yellow pencil on the table, this one, so we believe that we are thinking exactly the same way, but these are just inference. Yeah. Great Jetsun Trapa Jelsen, when he was in his doing retreat in his cave, one day his attendant saw hundreds of horsemen came. People came on horses, and they were very strange, dressed strange, with strange hat, strange ornaments. With one young Tibetan boy, they came, and then the attendant thought, where are all these people going to go? Rinpoche is in a cave, but suddenly they all fit inside the cave. They all fit. Nobody becomes smaller. The cave didn't become bigger. They just fit. This kind of thing, we're not talking about like some sort of like miracle or none of those. It's just simple understanding about, form. That starts from very detailed understanding like that. Is gross mind and ultimate mind? Is gross mind consciousness and ultimate mind awareness? You mean subtle mind? Gross mind consciousness? Yeah, consciousness and experiences of consciousness. And the awareness, the subtle mind. Now the thing is that awareness is not outside the gross mind also. If you think that there is awareness and then there are gross mind, sort of like a depth, sort of ocean floor and then ocean waves, this kind of way, then you're separating these two. It's like a piece of cloth and the thread that makes this piece of cloth. The thread individually are not the piece of cloth. Yet, without this individual thread, you cannot have a piece of cloth. So this subtle mind awareness itself is not the one that is the one that is knowing and angry and all that. Rather, it makes sort of continuation of this subtle mind makes up gross mind. Okay. How about we take a short break, Anila?
Rinpoche, thank you very, very much for your very kind and clear teaching. Shall we take a 15-minute break?
Lasso.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rinpoche.
So, delay. Right. Now the next school is Madyamaka. Madyamaka means the middle way or the middle path. You should know that only we call ourselves Madyamaka. All the other schools call us the nihilist school. They call themselves Madyamaka, so do not be surprised if you meet someone from, I don't know, Burma, who say, we are the Madyamaka people. That's what everybody believes, that they are Madyamaka, because it's good. You know, it's what everybody wants to be. It's the thing to be, Madyamaka, on the middle path, away from extremes. and you know, they can claim that, rightfully so. Not because Madyamaka is not just about the view. Now here is purely about the view and what you really believe deep. I for example, years ago, when Khenchen Rinpoche, he brought this man who gave a lecture about Taoism to us, and then he basically said that it's very similar. Buddhism and Taoism, we're very similar. We also look at everything like a dream, like this is mainly like a dream appearance and so on and so on. So, see, many spirituality might say that it's the same language, usage language is very similar. Then I actually got up, and when there's question and answer time, and I asked him, I even remember I said, sir, very respectfully. I remember Khenchen Rinpoche watching that we say everything is like a dream because of emptiness. The basis of why everything is like a dream is not some experience. It's not just some phase or something romantic, but mere fact that nothing truly exists if you look for its existence, yet they appear like a dream. So why do you say that? So the view of Siddhartha Gautama Buddha is, it's not a view that he created. It's more like a discovery, something that it's an honest analysis of things, basically, and then having the guts to live according to that, to really give in to that, yet also be compassionate. All right. So Madyamaka. So all of these schools will insist they're Madyamaka, and like I said, for good reason. For even in Vinaya, the way monks and nuns should practice, for example, when it comes to practice, Buddha would say things like, not everyone should be doing the same thing. Some monks, he would say, who are really attached to things, he would say, yes, they should then, not eat after noon. They should have only 2 pieces of robes, with 2 sort of sets of robes with them, and and even their robes, they should not make robes out of new pieces of cloth, but used, discarded pieces of cloth, and then like that, because their issue is the attachment. But then Buddha said, if there is a monk who is very angry, then he says, do not show this path to them, because they will not be able to handle it. To them, then he says, let them, So there's all these kinds of middle path is what it is. So when other schools say we are the Madyamaka, we are on the middle path. It's true to some extent and in many different ways. But here we're talking about the ultimate truth. Even in this regard too, they will all claim that we're in the middle path. So Tantrika will claim that things as they appear does not truly exist, but there has to be basis from which everything appears, like a partless particle or shortest duration of mind, this like instant of mind. So for them, that's like the middle path. It's not eternalism, because you do not believe in truly existence of most of the things, but also not nihilism, because there is the base and the source of the cause of things. Same goes Chitta Matra, they say the same thing. But here Madyamaka idea of then being beyond extreme, being on the middle path is, although they all use the same language, the meaning is different. So Madyamaka here, the middle path, is what we follow. Now comes the talk. In the text itself, if you're looking on the 14th page, is about Madyamaka, and then if there, Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk first talks about two truth. Relative truth and ultimate truth. Talk about true truth is just maybe in other traditions, spirituality, there have been such discussions, but I don't think to this extent that everything that Shakyamuni did, the whole sort of the way he taught was by using the true truths, ultimate truth and relative truth. Appearance and reality, experience and reality. Here, Khenchen Rinpoche does not really talk about the definitions of these two truths. He just talks about what those two truths are. So, what is it? For example, he says perfect worldly relative truth. I know how this translation come to be. Probably it's Yangdak Kunzop, Jikten Yangdak Kunzop. Now, relative truth, there are two types of relative truth. In appearance, there are two types of appearance, correct and incorrect. Just because it appears doesn't mean that it is accepted. Like what is it? Illusion you may be having. You may be seeing things that's appearing to you, but it will not be accepted as real by others. So, or like a dream appearance. So within relative truth, there are those that is real, accepted, and there are those that is not real, not accepted by others. So here, Khenchen Rinpoche is talking about the ones that are accepted, ones that are functional. In the state of perfect worldly relative truth, samsara, nirvana, or the phenomena of the ground, path, and result level of the three vehicles are regarded as existent. So basically, everything that we believe exists has to exist in this relative, perfect relative truth. As I was saying yesterday, for all the other schools, if it exists, it has to exist ultimately, in ultimate truth. And ultimately, it has to exist. Like Chitta Matra, mind exists as ultimate. Form doesn't exist, they say. Form is mere creation of mind. Remember? And like that, the other schools. Whereas here, if it exists, it can only exist in relative truth, and only in perfect relative truth, not imperfect one. Like a dream and so on. This doesn't help. Now, the ultimate truth, he talks about ultimate truth based by quoting different sutras, and then actually talking about the view itself, the truth, ultimate truth itself. So the sutras, please read, where you have Prajnaparamita Sutra, he quotes it, this sutra twice. Oh, maybe this. Now, according to all the other schools, the views of Arhat, Pratyeka Buddhas and Buddhas are not the same. Their understanding, their wisdom, or the ultimate reality that they realize are not the same. Whereas here, in Prajnaparamita, Buddha says, yes, if you want to be Arhat, you have to depend on Prajnaparamita. If you want to be Pratyeka Buddha or Buddha, you have to depend on Prajnaparamita. So same view. Different usage basically, but same view. Yeah. Now the explanation of the view on the 15th page. Explanation of the view based on sutric quotations. Then you have view which is common to all three vehicles, and the view which is unique to the Mahayana. So, yeah. I don't know how to make it exciting, I'm sorry. How do you make it exciting for people? Okay. So the first one, the general view that an Arhat must have, Pratyeka Buddha must have, Bodhisattva must have. Where Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk quotes Nagarjuna. Holders of non-existence go to lower realms. Holders of existence go to higher realms. Complete and exact realization of perfection liberates without reliance on dualism. Basically, it means if you believe that, if you have a nihilistic view is when you, again, nihilistic view, it's just a name, it's a term, and it depends, and the meaning of it may change depending on who you are and what your view is. So whoever doesn't believe in your view is what is it, a nihilistic view, isn't it? That's what it is. But so here, we are the boss here. It's our text. So we decide who is nihilistic view. So whoever doesn't believe in cause and effect, dependent origination, these kind of things are having nihilistic view. Matter of fact, if you are a monk or nun, of course, if you break the root vows, like not killing, not lying, sexual misconduct, still you lose the vow. But then there is one more way of losing the vow. It's the moment you believe there is no life after death. The moment you let go of your belief in karma, vow is gone. That very moment. No need to kill anybody. No need to steal anything. It's gone. The basis of your practice is lost. So the basis of our practice is this view. Obviously, you need a ground to build something. You cannot build a house if on a what is it on a frozen lake. It's bound to melt. So here, so basically, if you have such nihilistic view, you go to lower realms. I mean, well, this is his. I think he's talking about here, like could result in lower realms. I don't think it has to be. There could be, what do you call them, atheists who are much better people than us. Very kind, because you should be kind. Why should I be kind for my next life? Just this life, like that. But most probably, if you really truly believe, you can do whatever you want. If you're not caught by the law, then it's fine. If nobody sees it, you haven't done anything wrong. Yes, then things begin to get interesting, I think. Similarly, if you again are stuck on existence, you cannot let go of existence. No, this one is very difficult. The other one, because inherently we are all eternalist people. We believe in our existence. So this nihilism that they have is learned. They have learned to have such nihilistic view. Someone has said something to them, and then they have thought whatever they say, doesn't exist. So you can talk to, but eternalist people, that's the real issue. That's the really problem. And we are it. Do not think that you're not. We have that in us. So yes, as long as you cling on to it, there's no liberation. The best you can do is go to higher realms, higher existence. Then, so only realization of perfection or the paramitas can liberate you, because again, it's not to be, just saying it without any reason. You look at the causes of samsara, and then you see that the path of prajna paramita does not accumulate any more causes. So, yeah. Here, Khenchen Rinpoche talks about 12 links of dependent origination, especially with the next stanza. In Ways of Bodhisattva, Shantideva is, in the 8th chapter, he asked himself, his own mind, he's saying, why are you? He's talking to his mind and saying, this body is not you. You are not this body. Why do you identify yourself as it, or it as yourself? Why? What is it? Why are you so attached? The reason why things happen, cause and condition, causes and conditions. The 12 links here are basically inner cause and effect. Is Buddha's way of explaining why you are born, how you are born, why are things happening to you, and what is happening while you are doing things. Because these are important. to say such a thing during a time when everybody's basically everyone around you thinks that you are put on this in this human realm on this earth for a reason, by a creator, that there is a purpose, there's some sort of a purpose. And then to come and say no real purpose, nobody puts you anywhere, just when there is a wind blowing, a branch breaks. Do you think there is a purpose? You don't. It's just how it is. When the waves goes up and down, there is a purpose? No, it's just cause and effect. Similarly, why should you be so special? It's nothing. It's just same. Cause and effect. How? Then what kind of cause and effect? Causes and conditions like this. So he talks about the 12 links. This is so good. You should really pay attention to this. If you can find, read a book, listen to teachings, contemplate on 12 links of dependent origination. They might scare you in the beginning with the names. This is a little bit of but we can learn new things, don't we? We can. Yeah, 12 link of dependent origination is really good. Those of you who know this well, you know that. So basically, the first link, the first phase is ignorance, unawareness, not knowing the reality. In the Tantras, when they talk about okay, let's just do this first. So there is unawareness. We have unawareness because I do not see the ultimate reality. And I believe whatever I see, whatever I experience to be truly existing. So that's my ignorance or unawareness. From there, then, so I have this self-grasping basically. From this self-grasping then arises me and mine and they and theirs and, attachment and aggression and ignorance, indifference and all kinds of things. From this then arises karma. I do things. We have to do something, isn't it? Always. Why can't we just sit still? We must do something. That's the problem. So the first link is ignorance. Then the second link is the karma. Karma that comes out of the ignorant mind. Whatever the ignorant mind does. So this karma is then it's like a seed that waits until it meets with the right condition to ripen. Which are the seven, which are Sepalempa Sipa, which are the 8th, 9th, 10th links. Those are the what do you call it? The conditions for ripening. And then the last two. So the 7th is craving to crave. Then the next is taking, lempa, to take, basically to do something about it. When you crave, what you do. And then sipa is now, it becomes possible for the fruition. The seed is going to mature now, sipa, becoming. And then the 11th, 12th, I know I left a couple of them in between, but they'll come afterwards. 11th and 12th, which are birth and death. basically that. So, birth and death. Okay, I'm not really going to go through all this, but from unawareness we accumulate karma. We accumulate karma. Can be something like, let's say, this is a bad example. Let's say I accumulated karma that's going to throw me in a lower realm, say like a hungry ghost, a hell realm, or whatever. Accumulated. Then I go on living my life. The moment of death, during the moment of death, because of I have that karma, and because of other karma, I feel very cold. I feel so cold. And I'm complaining, so cold, craving. I crave for warmth, and I'm falling. I feel I'm falling. I'm clutching to things, and I'm cold. I feel so lonely. No matter how many people are surrounded, I feel so lonely. That's craving. And then I try to do things. I keep me warm, start the heat, crank up the heat, in the room. It's so cold. Lemba taking. That awakens that karma of me to go to lower realms, like what that like those hot cold hells like that. Yeah, so this is like the hot hells. One of the to be born, I get attached to heat. And so this is how I die, and then that sort of results birth and death in that condition. Now the ones that are in between, these are merely process of your mind entering the womb until the birth. This third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. These are merely process. These are I don't know how to make it short. So let's now. This is happening all the time now. To what is needed to be understood is that ignorance is accumulate. Through ignorance we accumulate karma all the time. Good karma, we go to good place, good things happen. Bad karma, bad things happen. Karma is basically mental cause and effect. You cannot expect mind to function exactly like a matter. It's a bit unreasonable when people ask reason for karma. Why should there be karma? That's a good reason. But then to expect karma to be as tangible as mind. First of all, mind is not tangible. Why should karma be tangible? It's from the way it arises, the way experiences happen. Recently, I talked about that somewhere. I don't know, or so many teachers have taught about this. It's good to know these things, to contemplate. Now, meditator realize the cause of it all is the ignorance, the self-grasping. If I wouldn't have that self-grasping, I wouldn't have this idea of me and them. Why should I have self-grasping? There's no real reason why. I just have it. I am born with it, meaning it continues from a past life, or it is not. Yeah, let's say continues. It is basically something from past life. How many billions of humans in this world? All kinds of belief. Really, really, really strange beliefs. But one thing that binds us all is our belief in a self, in this self-grasping. No one had to be taught. You just have it. Actually, that's one reason of life after death. You cannot just say, oh, it's instinct, or what do you call it, human nature or such thing. These are nice words for, you need to give a real reason. How then? Why? So one reason that the teachers give is that why does that happen? Because, so understanding this, then we must eradicate the self-grasping. So to become an arhat, you must remove that. To become pratyeka Buddha, you must remove that. To become Buddha, same, you must remove the self-grasping. Removal of self-grasping now. Shakyamuni Gautama did so in two ways, through relative means and ultimate means. Relative means basically when he taught about impermanence. Impermanence. Because our idea is, I was there year ago. I am here now. That same person is here now. And the same me will be there tomorrow, going somewhere, doing something. It's very permanent. Everything else changes, not me. Like who I am, you really believe that you have always been this. It's permanent. Belief in a permanent self. You see, I told you, don't ridicule these non-Buddhist schools who says self is permanent, because they say it, we believe it. So it's the same in a way. There's really not much difference. So that. So then impermanence is taught. And then another idea is this idea of myself being one entity. When I think of me, I think of a singular entity. And it's very vague. Sometimes I think myself as both body and the mind. Sometimes I say my mind is agitated, as if I am separate from this mind. Sometimes I say my body is, in pain, as if I am other than the body, as if I am the mind. But then someone hits my body, I say, you hit me. In this case, it's same. Already you can see my idea of me is very confused, just jumping around, barely surviving. So, but at any given time, my identity, my belief is that I am a one phenomenon, one thing, whatever. So, whatever, you may be thinking about your name, you may be thinking about a sense of you. Someone during a Madyamaka meditation or something, sometimes I like to ask people to tell me, what do they think they are? What are you? What are you really? And then you get all these colorful answers like, I think I am love, or things like that. It's very, very sweet. but you know, but Chandrakirti really would say that's sweet, but not here, not now. Right now, we're trying to get to the bottom of things here. So then Buddha said, this is not ultimate teaching right now. Even you will notice then, whatever Siddhartha Gautama have taught, even if it sounds like a relative truth, it will always goes to the ultimate truth. And that's the thing. Here, when he says 5 aggregates, we have 5 aggregates. Sounds like anything, you find in anywhere, any religion, like, oh, you are made up of these many things. But the thing is that the moment you look at yourself as, I am made up of form, this body, and then sensation, when my body comes in contact with any, sound, smell, whatever, there is sensation. And then perception, I judge. Do I want it? Do I keep it? Is it good? Not good? Nice? Not? That's judgment. And then formation, which is like action now, acting out on that judgment. And then the last one is consciousness, the 5th one, which is basically how the body is functioning in the first place. When you look into this, then you realize, I am not a one thing. I am a name given to these things, continuity of these things. Yes. So, all right. Now, we do not just stop there. Oh, I'm made up of 5 aggregates. Because some schools do, like the Sutantrika, they believe that, yes, it's true. I am a label given to the 5 aggregates. And so I should understand that I am just a label. Me as a being is nowhere to be found. It's not in the form, not in the perception, sensation, but my characteristics are borrowed from these, and they are not same. They are very, very different. So there's no way that I am one thing, so this is a partial understanding of selflessness, but it's not complete. But for them, the Sutantrika person might argue that's enough. No need to understand, or no need to further break down, further sort of analyze the 5 aggregates. Where Madhyamikans say no, analysis is not through. You then still grasp on the 5 aggregates. And that's how your self-grasping came about anyway. Your self-grasping came because you have a form, because there is a form and there is a feeling, sensation. These gave you the belief that you exist. As I was saying before, in the Tantras, when they talk about how does our mind enter the womb of a mother, of our mother, when I'm born from my mother. So the first instant when the consciousness enters the womb, no longer being free, it experiences like falling into unconscious state. Since I'm talking about an ordinary being, like myself. So you fall into an unconscious state. From this unconscious state, as the material in my mother's womb begin to develop, the physical form begins to develop slowly, I start having thoughts. See, aggregates, thoughts. And I feel there's nothing because I don't have eyes at that time to see, ears to hear, none of this. So there's this feeling of nothingness. And then slowly, again, while I'm thinking there's nothing, there is also the feeling of, my thoughts thinking that. So though that, this is a very important process of how the embryo or whatever develops and doesn't just rot away and die. That actually this thought process, they push the formation of the body. So yes, self-grasping, if you have to remove it, analysis have to be thorough, and you have to understand the selflessness of the aggregate, selflessness of your form, perception, sensation. If you stop there, only there, then it's not enough. So then the Madyamaka go on analyzing the form. And where is the form? What is the form? Like the body. It can be, hands and not legs, and like there's no such thing as a body anywhere. Each one is a part. Part of what? There is no phenomena, entity to which all of these parts belong to. It's a mere idea. Like this. So breaking down further and further. Finger, where is the finger? Is it the skin, the bones, like that? In ways of Bodhisattva, you'll find it very deep, sort of very detailed analysis of this. Please consult those texts. What a thing to do, to gather somewhere and talk about such things that that practically has no real impact. You still have to drink coffee, you still have to go around and do things. This is good. This is really good. Oh, there's a lot of things in the chat. Okay. That's so good. Anikungala wrote that Kimbukaza and Jatsinla have translated full-length biography of Konkonchok Jalpo, and each of the 5 founders, founding fathers of Sakyapa tradition, holy biographies of the great founders of the Sakya order. That's so good. Please, if you can, you should read those. It'll really give you a sense of, not just make you familiar with these great beings, but also belonging. That I belong to this. Nagarjuna states not to describe emptiness and non-emptiness, but describe them only for the purpose of labeling. Please explain why it's important to label them. Well, if we don't label things, we cannot talk. Language is label. Language itself is is meaning given to sound, isn't it? This has no meaning right now. Give us long enough time, we can communicate entirely just using these sounds. Why does this have a meaning? Because you and me have been taught that this, whatever I'm saying, means whatever I'm saying. There's a whole analysis of language. It's so good. You should, how you cannot even, how there isn't, how, because again, just like a thought, you think that there is a thought, there is one thought that thinks I will go there. But when you analyze, it's not even one thought, it's just this continuation of very, very short moment of mind together, when remembered together, when looked upon together by a later mind, understands as this thought. Anyway, this is really good. You should really learn this. In the other one about analysis of language, you think, I am saying this sentence, I'm speaking. So as if this sentence or phrase is a sound. There's never a sound. Not even the word apple is not a sound. Same, and way of analyzing is the same. Talking about the shortest duration of time. Sound is an existing phenomena, right? Sound, you can hear it. And if it exists, it can only exist for the shortest duration of time. If anything exists for more than one moment, that phenomena has broken the boundary of impermanence, is entering the realm of permanence. If it exists, it can only exist for a moment, for the shortest duration of moment. And so when you analyze like this, you cannot even say the alphabets. The moment you say A, there's like a lot of short, many short duration of sound, many sort of sounds lumped together for you to make it A. Like that. This is really good. More you contemplate on this, and then you think, you say to yourself like table. It gets really weird. I promise you, it gets so weird. Your own name, whatever. Nice names you may have. Say that name. Longer you say something, more you begin to realize the detachment of that thing and what it is supposed to mean. You're beginning to take time and actually look at it. Usually we don't look at it. We're focused on what I feel, how it made me feel. But yeah, anyway, sorry, that somehow I really love this kind of meditation about the sound, so I get carried away. Okay. So yes, things have to be labeled, or else we cannot talk. That's the problem. But then when you mentioned non-duality, how to experience non-duality, how to experience that in a very clearly and pure way with Shunyata and Bodhicitta. I don't know how to ask. Non-duality, to experience non-duality, you have to be on the path. Somehow you have to manage to gain complete trust, either through rational understanding or through devotion. I don't know how, but you have to get there to complete trust that this is it. And with that trust, you start meditating on it. Of course, Vajrayana then will tell you, there are many other methods too. And you can look into that. But for that, we need a lot of merit. Lot of merit. Before break, someone asked, how is there a continuum of consciousness over lifetimes that maintains a record of kleshas from each life? Buddha gave an example actually about this. He said he was talking to a king, telling about karma basically, and he said, when an eagle, I think eagle or vulture, probably vulture, I don't know which one can fly higher, that one. When they're on the ground, he said they have shadows. Higher up they go. They reach to a point where you can no longer see their shadow anywhere. The moment they come down, reach to a point, shadows reappear. Not to analyze this too much. It's just an example for this king to understand. So Gautama said, exactly like that. When a person accumulates karma, you do something today. Tomorrow you're not doing that anymore. So it's gone. It's gone. The moment it is done, it's gone. It's like the flight of the vulture. High up. Is it there? Where? Is it not there? Well, but the moment it comes down, the shadow reappears. The moment the causes and conditions gather, that karma will give result. In between, where is it? How is it transferred? I don't know. But so yeah, Madhyamikans will say, we don't know. Whatever explanation any of the school gives, we know that's not correct. Because, you should read Chandrakirti for that. So then how do things happen? Chandrakirti says, we don't know how anything happened. Cause and effect, he said, look at the cause and effect. It's miraculous how anything is born. Yeah, so karma is nothing special. It's just... All right. I'm afraid I'm really not helping and confusing some people. So maybe... Okay, so someone asked, if the self is the quilt of all our patterns and colors of self and who we are as this person, what continues is but a thread, or like saving but a few scraps of fabrics that are later made into if it helps you understand, why not? Remember yesterday I said, each given, anytime you are asked, who are you? You have a complete answer. And any answer you give will be incomplete after 1 year. That incorrect even. But right now it's correct. So any given time you have a complete idea of who you are, and you think this is it, this is who you are. It could be circumstantial, like me. If you would have asked me 20 years ago, was it? 25 years ago. And first I will give you my name, who I am, probably my nationality, and my parents' name also. And then I'm a school boy or something like that. That's my identity. I'm a refugee, Tibetan. Then afterwards, maybe 15 years ago, you asked me, I said, my name again. But this time I have a monk name, a lama name, then, I'm a monk, right? If you tell me, hey, you're not a monk, that schoolboy, I said, no, I'm not. This is who I am. This is the final thing. This is the final result. If you ask me now, that answer is incorrect. That's not who I am. I've been around. So I'm no longer a monk. You know what I mean? So it's really amazing how ignorant we are about things that's so blatant. It's just there. Nobody hides it. And we just don't see it. And that's the beauty of the tragedy, whatever you'd like to call it. I think we should have a break. Here's the...
Thank you so very, very much. We're very grateful for your tireless and kind, patient and careful and explanation step by step. You're pulling 100 people along with you from all over the world. So it's a heavy load that you're carrying, but we're trying to keep up. So thank you very much. And we will resume in 50 minutes, 50 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rinpoche. Please take a good short break and a good rest. Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you again, Rinpoche, for your precious time and energy, and especially your wisdom and compassion.
So, Kenchen, so we were talking about the emptiness that is common to all the vehicles. That emptiness is basically not accepting true existence anywhere, not accepting any kinds of true existence, or not accepting existence in ultimate reality. So to become an arhat, you need that. To become a Pratyeka Buddha, you need that. To become a Buddha, you need this realization. There is no other way. As Chandrakirti wrote, outside of the path of Nagarjuna, no one can gain liberation. Now, path of Nagarjuna, obviously, he doesn't mean that Nagarjuna made or created that path. It is meant that it is what Nagarjuna taught. So we do not agree with Chittamatra school and all the other school when they say, oh, these arhats, these shravakas, they do not understand the emptiness of all things. Because that would be like to say that they understand the emptiness of self, but not the emptiness of other phenomena is nonsense. To be honest, you just can know by yourself. If you understand the emptiness of yourself, that what stops you from applying the same wisdom reasoning to everything else? Nothing. So you do understand the emptiness of all phenomena. Now, understanding and realization is two very different things. So Sravakas understand emptiness of all phenomena, yet they do not seek that kind of wisdom that sees emptiness of all phenomena. It's a bigger task, unnecessary task for their purpose. They just want liberation from samsara. For that, they do not need to know the emptiness of all things, rather the emptiness of themselves to realize that. So they choose not to focus on that kind of meditation, and they rely upon the meditation of emptiness of themselves, emptiness of a person, emptiness of individual being. And Pratyeka Buddha contemplates on emptiness on person, but also they contemplate on emptiness of objects, the object aspect. This one, maybe we need to discuss this now. It's quite a bit tricky, but anyway, if you ever get a chance. And it's a bit more difficult to achieve this wisdom. And then, but that's suffice, that's enough. They don't need to meditate on emptiness of all things. Whereas Bodhisattva, who wants to become Buddha, must contemplate on emptiness of all things. And this mainly depends upon the kind of obscuration they're trying to rid themselves of, get rid of. Obscuration. Generally, you have two kinds of obscuration. Obscuration to liberation and obscuration to omniscience. Basically, it means what keeps you in samsara and what stops you from being omniscient. So what keeps us in samsara is karma. That's what keeps us in samsara. Karma is the cause of rebirth. When you no longer have that cause, you no longer have samsara, or samsara will cease when the past karma will exhaust, no new karma you will accumulate. So that's the end of samsara. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is the moment you are free from self-grasping, that is samsara. As Nagarjuna says, Dorna Tharpa Norzam Sepa is, he said, in short, liberation is the eradication of mistake. Mistake, he is referring to the self-grasping. So you do not have to be shining. Flowers do not have to fall from anywhere. You just, when you gain liberation, it could be so quiet that you're probably in a train or a bus and nobody will even know what's going on. When you become Arhat right there, like that, very natural. And so this obscuration is called afflictions, also nyamo, because karma is result of afflictions. Remember the 12 links? Yes. The main cause, the initial cause is self-grasping. From there you have affliction. From, as Chandrakirti says, first comes the idea of me. And then come the idea of mind. From there, then the cycle starts. Now, this sounds like a beginning, like how the world began, but actually, this is the functionality of the world, not just the beginning. You can say the world is beginning all the time, then that's okay. The world is beginning, ending all the time. So every moment this is happening. From self comes, all the grasping of mine and not mine, and so on, and then the karma is accumulated. Now, for someone who wish just to be free, that's all they need. They don't need to be bothered with the second kind of obscuration. All they need to do is to get rid of karma and affliction. And then to get rid of that, they need to get rid of self-grasping from its root, and then you're done. So that is what arhats aspire. And if you're diligent, it can be done in 3 lifetimes, they say. Pratyeka Buddhas, yes, mainly the same meditation to 12 links of dependent origination, contemplating on that. They gain liberation. Kind of saying what they really truly seek is self-liberation. But they are not entirely the same like the arhats. More compassionate, I would say, but also in many ways, what do you call those people, who doesn't like to socialize? Introvert, more introvert. They don't like to hang around with people. These Pratyeka Buddhas. Yet it's this thing that they have, that they really, really, really don't want to be here. Yet also they really, really want to do something good to help beings. But they don't want to be associated to a lineage or religion, none of those things. So they're born at a time when there is no Buddha, no Dharma, no Sangha. That's what they want, and they made aspiration for that. And then in their last life, that's exactly what happens, and then they become Pratyeka Buddha. And many times the way they teach is could be just by showing their face, could be just by living the way they live, or even sort of miraculous displays. Now here I'm saying miraculous displays. It could be miraculous display, or it could be display of someone who understands the reality of things, but it looks miraculous. Like, you have these Indians and Tibetan masters, like so many things, they leave their handprint in the cave walls, like real, what do you call it, granite walls. There's one in Sopema. You should put your hands inside, it just goes into the stone, the fingers. Those, one would think, is some sort of magic or trick or whatever. It's when the practitioner does that with full confidence that either that this is appearance of my own mind, or that this doesn't truly exist. That happens. Nothing miraculous about it, to be honest. Actually, what we are doing, that's miraculous. That's really weird. They are natural now. They're the one who are really, really sane. All right. So, so they don't need to meditate on the emptiness of all things. So they don't. And then the Mahayana practitioners must contemplate on emptiness of all things, because they not only want to liberate themselves, but to liberate all beings. And then there, you cannot afford to have any kind of shortcomings, even relatively. As Shantideva says, there is nothing that a bodhisattva should not learn. Nothing that bodhisattva should not learn. You never know when it will come in handy. I'm serious. However ridiculous it may be. Yeah, all right. And so in the Shravaka Sutras, Buddha does teach the emptiness of all things, but not directly. He says he just uses similes, like examples. Sugni Uwadabada, form is like a bursting of a bubble, like that. That Sorwa Chui Churs in Dujim like formation is what is it? Perception is like a mirage. Like that. In this manner he talks about it, but not clearly. And it's maybe not needed also. Whereas in the Mahayana Sutras, then you have form is emptiness, like clearly. There's no, now if you want to start commenting on that and saying actually he doesn't really mean that, that's up to you. But what it is said is clear. Form is emptiness. He doesn't say form is like a dream or something like that. It doesn't say that. Form, what you're seeing, is emptiness. That's it. And emptiness is form also. This is important. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Because the question is asked, when people, the question is, if nothing truly exists, why should things be fixed? Because things are also very much fixed in their ways. Water is always, moist. Fire is always heating, or blue is always blue, red is always red. Why not change sometimes? why not suddenly some things just appear and disappear? If things are truly like a dream, why doesn't that happen? That is the answer is emptiness is also form. Meaning it doesn't truly exist, yet it follows the law of cause and effect. That's true. And the examples usually is given is like you looking into a mirror and you only see your face. Because when you're studying a Madyamaka text and you're in depth into it, then it makes so much sense. But when you just have to throw at someone's face during suddenly a weekend teaching, people who just trying to start their year, and you just throw it. It makes me so uncomfortable, but it doesn't matter. What do you think? All right, but so people like Chandrakirti will argue. He will say, when you look into a mirror, your face is not in the mirror. Not only that, a reflection is also not in the mirror, on the surface of the mirror. And he will say, look, 10 people can stand around this mirror. Each one of them will see different reflections from slightly different reflections. And then 2 people might see completely different things. One sees what is there, one sees what is like that. So apparently, even the reflection itself is not there on the mirror. Yet, what you see is what you see, always that. You will not suddenly see what someone else sees, or you will always see the reflection of this face, not like Khenchen Rinpoche loves saying, not a banana, you know. It always makes him smile. There is even a practice where you look at a mirror. I'm serious. Just look and look and look into the whatever reflection that you think you are seeing. And you smile, it smiles, and you don't smile, you don't smile. It's emptiness is form. That's one. Okay. I am trying to say something. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Form is none other than the emptiness. Emptiness is not other than the form. Sensation is emptiness. Emptiness is sensation, like that. And perception is emptiness. Emptiness is perception. Basically talking about the non-duality of the two truths. Non-duality of the two truths. Or inseparability of the two truths, since this, you know, we're mostly sector gathering, this inseparability of the two truths. This is so important because that's just how it is. Neither the emptiness does not let go of appearance. Appearance doesn't let go of emptiness. When a realized teacher teach, it really convinces us, you know. I remember His Holiness Dakshin Rinpoche teaching in Nepal when he was giving Lamde. Those of you who know Dakshin Rinpoche, you know that when he teaches, it can go anywhere. You never know. He's talking about some bike gangs, and then he's talking about Avalokiteshvara's visualization. It can go anywhere. And he's not like very scholastic, you know. Like he's only started teaching. He's very, very learned. So it can be very scholastic. Dakshin Rinpoche is more like a yogi. And then he looks at things and he's just like raises his hand like this high up, says, look at all this, you know. He says, these are all appearance. While appearing, their emptiness. While emptiness, their appearance. And it just convinces us. It's so amazing. You should really aspire to meet such a teacher, first of all, and then to never part from such a teacher. Yeah. Some of you who have met Dakshin Rinpoche, you should really feel. Recall his face and voices, and it's just so meritorious. It was so special. In the text, Khenchen Rinpoche talks about the 5 arguments of Madyamaka. It can be so elaborate, like the whole text of Nagarjuna, the root verses of Madyamaka, is basically about that, these 5 arguments. In the 18th page, the last paragraph, that's what it's talking about. And also the, entirety of the 6th chapter of entering the middle path, basically that. Not even all of this, just one of those. It's analyzing that. So it's so vast. So to eradicate self-grasping, we have to remove the grasping to our aggregates. As long as you have grasping to your aggregates, any of your aggregates like form, or you just say body and mind, it says okay. 5 aggregates, just more refined manner of saying body and mind. So until they are not established as empty, it doesn't help. And then there is the whole path, the path of, as Chandrakirti says, when a yogini understands emptiness, then they, first thing they do is they become disciplined because they are afraid. What if in my next life I am born in a state where I will never hear, where the opportunity to learn about these things is not there? So I have to be born as a human. I have to be born where dharma is. For that, I must be disciplined. So the continuity of my emptiness meditation and practice is not broken. And then they also practice generosity, because if in my next life, if I am very poor, my main concern will first to look for food and shelter. That's what I would really want to do. And if I'm really poor, I cannot even benefit someone with just a meal. Forget about them. Yeah. So being generous and also practicing patience and tolerance. Because if I am very intolerant in this life, karma, so the next life, probably a lot of bad things. Others will be intolerant toward me. So that's a lot of bad things and keeps me busy and distracted. We don't want that. Also, Chandrakirti says, beauty comes from tolerance. This idea of beauty, good looking, not good looking, depends on how tolerant you were before. So if you want to look good, you better be tolerant. you better be nice if you want to look good in next life. Because it is also kind of important to look kind of okay. Human beings, we are so shallow. Don't you think? Even Buddha had to tell one monk can you just go somewhere? You need to go somewhere else. You need to meditate there. Don't come back. Because apparently in his past lives, he called an old Arhat who was really not good looking, said, oh, that guy, his face is like a cow, something like that. So in that life, his face was like an animal type. It's human being, of course, obviously, but it resembled like something, it came out a little bit like a cow. So his name was even Palang Dak, like cow something. He was Arhat, very diligent monk, by the way, good monk. Become liberated, but people get afraid of him. They come to the teaching, but they just get scared of him, and they get distracted by his face. So Buddha told him, all right, you need to, I need you to go somewhere else and teach somewhere else. So he sent him to a celestial realm where they don't judge, like they don't have judgment like we have, because their idea of beauty may be something else. So there he taught. And when Buddha passed away, before Buddha passed away, more than 8,000 arhats decided to die. Like together, they just enter into samadhi and they're gone. And then when Buddha passed away, many also sort of thought, okay, why are we alive now? You know, they're liberated. So they just decided to go, and then this in meditation, they're gone. At some point, there wasn't, Kashyapa had to make a law that until all the teachings of Buddhas are collected together, no arhats is allowed to die. And yeah, and they had 499 arhats gathered, but he wanted 500. I guess it's a good number for the future to say, hey, the teaching is authentic because 500 liberated people gathered and collected all the teachings of the Buddha, you know. So then he sends one arhat to the celestial realm, like heavenly realm somewhere, to talk to him and to come. And he says, oh, if the Buddha is gone, I have no reason to live. Please take my dharma robe and begging bowl, give it to Kashyapa and apologize to him. I cannot fulfill his wishes. And he just goes into meditation, he dies like that. Anyway, so you want to look good, better be nice. I'm really saying, this is really true. Of course, we don't do it for that. Here, now looking good here is the Tibetan term is Yito Onwa. It doesn't really have to do so much about your eyes and nose and lips, to be honest. It's more about your sort of presence, that when you go to a teacher, the teacher immediately sort of wants to teach you, you know, like you're very likable. That's better. You're very likable. The Sangha just wants to protect you, you know, like that. So anyway. Now, meditative emptiness, this is important. You need teachers, you need Sangha in all lives until you gain liberation. So they practice tolerance. And then obviously diligence has to be there. Meditation and wisdom has, so 6 parameters, 5 of the other parameters are practiced because of the 6th parameter. We want this wisdom, and because of for wisdom, we need all the rest. Obviously, that's not the main aim. The main aim is to liberate others, all beings. But for that to be possible, first, you need to be liberated. It's not going to work if you yourself are not liberated. Then it's really like, yeah, like someone like me. I talk and talk and talk. People just come to me and how do I meditate? And I say something and I don't know what they're doing. But I don't think it's really working. I don't think it's helping anybody, you know, like maybe today, 1-2 days. I'm serious. Whereas there are lamas. I think they're really good practitioners. But when they speak, it's not so eloquent. You know, what do you call it? Not so, you know, they just say simple things and it really benefits people. I really see that. So, if you really want to benefit beings, you really need to have practice and liberation. Yeah. So, anyway, that's now the analysis, the easiest of all. Well, not the easiest, but Okay, let me pick cause and effect, how they analyze cause and effect. Now, first you have to establish in your mind that there's nothing in this world that does not follow the law of cause and effect. You can call it law of cause and effect, but there's no real law. I want to say this also, but just because all things come from their specific causes and conditions, let's call it a law. When that is established, now it is analyzed. How does the cause, or how does the effect come from the cause? Do they meet? First question. Do they ever meet cause and effect? And then the Madyamaka teachers will say, if they meet, if the effect is already there while the cause is there, what is the purpose of the cause? Effect, it's already there. The only thing the cause can do is to cause that thing. And if it's already there, what's the purpose of it? So it doesn't make sense. They cannot be together at the same time. Effect can only happen when the cause is gone. When that is established, then you begin to kind of think, so they never meet. There's never a connection between cause and effect. Do you know? Yet, you know, from mango seed, when the shoot comes out of the seed and the shoot, they never meet, cannot meet. Only from the destruction of the seed can the shoot come out, right? The shoot is produced. They never meet. And so there is no way the seed can benefit or there is no way of explaining how the seed benefits the shoot. Does it benefit? Yes, it gives it birth to it. But how? We don't know. This in Pramana, there is one way of, when you argue about cause and effect and why something is some effect of something else, and it has to be very, very fundamental, like fire and smoke, for example. Why are they cause and effect? So then you need to have this kind of observation. First, there is a place without fire, without smoke. Then there is fire. Then there is smoke. And it has to be repeated again and again. Like that place, no fire, no smoke. Again, then fire appears, and then the smoke appears. When that happens many, many times, and also someone removes the fire and then the smoke stops. These two, the way of arising and way of exhausting. First there is nothing, so no fire, no smoke. Then there is fire, then there is smoke, and this is always like this. Again, in the other direction, and it's also always the other direction. First there is fire and smoke, then fire stops. You extinguish it or whatever, throw water, fire stops, and then smoke will also stop. If this goes back both ways, then you can decide. You can sort of announce they are cause and effect, because these are your proof. Analysis. Very similar here too, because, and anyways, exactly that. Same with seed and shoot, lamp and light. Ask me, please, if I'm not making sense. That's one way. So when you analyze like this, although everything that you are and you know, everything depends on cause and effect, is a result of cause and effect, yet there is no way, there is no, how to say, time, there is no time when the cause is benefiting the result, yet the benefit happens. The first moment the cause is seen, the next moment the result is seen. And that is the miraculous way of things. A Madyamaka practitioner might just look at some tree and leaves and just be completely amazed. How does anything work? All right. Okay. That is applied to everything, all phenomena, and established their emptiness. Yet while they are empty, emptiness does not mean non-existence. That's very important for us. That's stupid to say. Emptiness means not real. I think that's better. Not real. In Nagarjuna's root text of Madyamaka, he analyzes birth, death, cessation and arising, birth and death, you can say that. Coming and going. What is it? Neither one nor separate. For example, he analyzes walking, going, coming and going, and he says, this is really good. You should look into that. That was my first introduction to emptiness in my life. And I walked into, some of you have told you, I was new in Zongsa. You know, a high school kid suddenly become a monk. I have no idea what these guys were talking about. I thought all I have to now do is go to a monastery and learn how to beat drums and, like puja. That's what I thought. That's what monks do. I did not know that you could study all kinds of weird things. And one of my neighbor was the Kempo. He was a class teacher, and he was teaching Madyamaka class. I remember just going into his rooms, and monks, we do not knock. We just like go in, don't expect monks to knock. Well, because these days they're they still come in without knocking, right? Yeah. So I went in, he was reading a text, and he said, he was very skillful. He said, oh, this guy is saying very strange things. He didn't say it's emptiness. He said, this guy is saying strange things. And I said, what is he saying? He said, this guy is saying there is no walking. Nobody can walk. And I was confused, and I said, how do you mean? This is very stupid. Of course, I walked from my room here. And he said, yes, you're right. But look he's saying this. To walk, he's asking this, how are you walking? So obviously you think, my feet has to touch the ground, and one feet has to push, and the next feet has to sort of jump, right? That's how we walk. So I was trying to be very clever, like in my whatever capacity, high school. Then he said, yes, but for that, there has to be, your feet has to touch the ground. And this guy is saying, he was talking about Chandrakirti, that there is no touching of your feet in the ground. And then I asked him how, and he did this. He said, this is your feet and this is the ground. And he said, up until now, it hasn't touched. So, and then already touched. And he said, and it hasn't touched, it's future. Already touched is past. There is no touching is happening right now. There's no moment where it's happening. You know what I mean? I don't know. It made so much sense to me. And then the conch was blown for the afternoon puja, and I was walking on the stairs. This is really weird. It's like a whole new world opened in my head. The way to see everything, everything. So, I don't know. You have questions? I think there's some. I will read. Maybe that's better. Isilda, she says, can it be said that consciousness is the eyes of the mind? Consciousness is, consciousness is mind. You can say that, I guess. Yeah. It's the way you understand. Then someone asked, how do I know whether what is happening is a realization rather than just an experience? How will I know the difference? Okay. Experience and realization, this is really important to differentiate. Many people, they experience something and they think it's realization. Experience is unstable. Experience, yes, it's unstable and it is not final, not final. Realization is final, there's no return. Experience, okay. You remember that movie called Samsara, where this monk, first he's a monk and he's meditating so well, his hair is long, his nails are long, he's not even moving, eating, drinking, nothing, he's just doing meditation. And then he disrobes, and then he marries, and then he fights, and he's all these problems. That is experience. He was having an experience. And in his meditation, deep shamatha, his meditation was so good. And so nothing was disturbing him. Nothing could disturb him. They had to wake him up from meditation in that movie. Of course, it's a movie. But it actually happened like that a couple of times in Tibet too, where recently actually a monk who was practicing, and he would barely eat one grain, 1 grain of barley. Can you say that? Grain of barley, yeah, a day. And people really thought it was really good. He was good at that time. Later, he became a burglar, and he killed a caretaker monk really badly. Like slashed his stomach or something, and the guy died, dragging himself on the ground with his intestine all over the place. And so then people, the public killed him, I think, anyway. So those are experiences, not realization. So yeah, sometimes you meditate and it's like, feels like, oh, something is happening, whatever. Some people say strange things like half of my body vanishes when I meditate. What's going on? These are all experience. Good, bad, you don't know, but experience. Also, what another experience is lojong. When you're doing lojong, it is there in the lojong text. Not to think like, oh, I've done enough lojong, now I don't need. And this, you're meditating on compassion every day. And in the beginning, the idea of even giving a few euro to somebody is painful, or even I don't know. Even when someone even looks at your boyfriend or girlfriend, you just get so worked up, and then after a while you meditate and compassion again, and you feel like you can even let people sort of drink your blood. Like you can just. That's only experience, by the way. Because then when you stop doing that, it will go down, 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 down. Not only you will get to where you were before, it will go even worse than that. Experience. Now, realization, there is no return. Happens once, that's it. Realization is the eradication of obscuration. Experience is mere suppression of those. Mere suppression. So, okay, then when you realize emptiness, for example, the first time, when you realize emptiness, that's it, there's no return. No longer can you be ignorant like before, never. Yeah, so that's this big difference between these two. Big generalization here, obviously, but yeah, you should look into those. But if something happens to you and you're not really sure what's going on, it's experience. When you have realization, there is no question anymore. Just know. Oh, I was talking about Khenchen Rinpoche. Someone asked, what is the name of the yogi light teacher? Khenchen Rinpoche. I think he lived in Seattle. He was very strange. Once when he was in Tibet, he was quite known for being clairvoyant. I've seen it myself, to be honest. But anyway, he was known to be clairvoyant. Very also, what do you call it? Unpredictable, And people are weird. They ask all kind of questions. Like I'm sure many of you do. You go to your teacher and say, I met this man. What do you think? Will it work? All these questions. So in those days too, they ask him, how long will I live? And he said, 7 years. How long? 7 years. All of them, 7 years. And after 7 years, they were all killed with the communist came. Well, just one of the things that he used to do was like this. Had this very things he would say would be very prophetic. Yeah, Dr. Dakshin Sakja, that one. What is the difference between Madyamaka's I don't know and the inexpressible of one of the school you presented yesterday? Yes, there's a big difference. When Madyamaka says, okay, from seed, the seedling comes, that much we can see. More than that, I don't know. How does it work? I don't know. This I don't know. It's after knowing all the other explanation doesn't make sense. And you might think, how did these people 2,000, 3,000 years ago covered all the other possibilities? Then you should listen to Nagarjuna. He says, if something is coming, if something arises from something else, truly arises, these two things, there have to be either one thing or two separate things, or both or neither. That's it. However, millions of years later, whoever will have whatever idea about arising of things, how do results come from cause, it will never surpass, it will never go beyond these four possibilities. Cause and effects are either one or separate, one thing or separate two different things, or both, or neither. So Madyamaka understand all four of these possibilities doesn't make sense. Yet things do appear from causes and conditions. How? We don't know. That we don't know is very precious than the other one. It's really, when you know, the difference is, it's like, so classic example is, when you see when someone stole something, there is a thief, let's say. Two people say, this person is the thief. One of those people really knows that this person is the thief. The other person is just saying it for whatever reason, doesn't really know this person is a thief. This person really is a thief, by the way. But it's not the same though, those two people. One is lying, one is not, or one is mistaken, one is not. Mistaken not because the person is not thief or not, but mistaken because they don't know. So they're just saying it for the wrong reasons. All right. What else?
Is the first move of this an experience of emptiness, or is it really anything?
Okay. Someone here asked, does the first Bhumi Bodhisattva have experience of emptiness or realization of emptiness? That's a realization of emptiness. First Bhumi. That's not experience. It's, what do you call it? No return, non-refundable. That's it. You cannot say, I want to go back to samsara. I want to be samsaric again. Too late. It's done. You've seen the ultimate truth. Bhumi is really interesting. Now, can emptiness be understood as impermanence? Not really. But impermanence can be understood in its full glory as emptiness. When impermanence is a means of showing emptiness, a step towards it. It's almost, you can say almost, it's thinly veiled. Yeah, it's like, you can almost see it. Yes, you have to, well, there's the last question. I'm answering the last question here. You have to realize the emptiness of your five aggregates, basically your body and mind. Maybe that will help if the emptiness of person does not move you so much. Or if you feel more connected to emptiness of person, but less connected with emptiness of phenomenon. Yeah, that's okay. They will help each other. Whichever one you're meditating, it's fine. Then the other one is now the unique Mahayana view of emptiness. Now this one is a language spoken by Sakcha, Kaju, and Nyingma people. Freedom from four extremes. Four extremes: existence, non-existence, both, and neither. And most importantly, freedom from thinking that emptiness is real, the real deal. We don't even have that problem right now. We are so behind on the path. We don't even have it's not even an issue right now. It's a luxury to have these issues. But nevertheless, now emptiness is taught to destroy the grasping on objects, on subject and object, on things. But then if you begin to grasp on emptiness itself as something real, that has to be removed too, or else the medicine has become poison now. And so emptiness of phenomena and emptiness of that emptiness itself is also needs to be contemplated. Now this is very scholastic manner of talking, but if you want more like yogic approach, then it is what Manjushri said. If there is grasping, it is not the view. That's what it means. Mind should be free of extreme. Grasping is extreme. And it is also the ultimate way of making purification true. Purification, accumulation, all the paramitas. This is it. To try and remain without grasping. Try to remain without grasping, not without any view, but with the view of emptiness. His Holiness Sakya Trichin's father, he was making retreat in, I think, in Manjushri cave in Sakya, or his Sakya Trichin, his father. And one day Manjushri appeared in front of him. So he immediately got up. And this Manjushri appearing in front of. So he began making prostration and doing confession, like whatever negative karma I have accumulated, through body, speech, and mind. And Manjushri stopped him and said, I don't want this kind of confession. I want the real confession. So he sort of set, into, set his mind without any grasping. That's the real purification. All right, let's take a break. Then we have the last session.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rinpoche. Shall we take a 15-minute break?
Oh, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. One thing that really develops wisdom is merit. Merit. And it can be in any way you accumulate merit. Making offering, praying, I don't know, meditating, prostrations, anything you do, but to dedicate it to
generation of wisdom. I know some people love to do, what is it, kurukule and this kind of practice, like magnetizing and all this. You have to be careful. If it's really, really Buddhist practice in this regard or something else, is it really for liberation or something else? Oh, what you really need is the wisdom. What we really need is awareness, the wisdom. And for that, then whatever you do, accumulation of merit or how, and more of that, such practices, suddenly you realize things that were so difficult yesterday, like a week ago, it's quite easy now. I'm really serious. It works like that. In the Sakyapa tradition here, in our tradition, I should say, when a monk or nun, they go to study scriptures, before studying, especially in the Dzongsa tradition, was to recite, and also during studying, to accumulate recitation of Sakyapandita's praise. Sheja Tamje Zigbe Chayam, but Dogun Jeli Drube Tuje Samitile Zibe Tonga, or Jangula Measure Gujas. We recite this 100,000 times, if possible, or as much as possible. And it was something that monks would recite all the time. Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk will tell us that this is something we would recite all the time when you're just like walking or, and so, and Rinpoche himself would tell us that sometimes when he would not understand something, it was so difficult, and that night he would make prayer to his guru and Manjushri and Sakyapandita and go to sleep. Well, that works for him, of course, special, But then the morning when he would wake up, he would really know whatever he did not understand yesterday. So there is this kind of aspect too, which is also really important. Not to remain only intellectual. This is very important. Do not be. First, we have to get rid of our attachment to being, ignorant. Studying, intellectual analysis, all this. Debate, ask questions, read commentaries. But then at some point you have to get rid of this too. And then rituals, offering, what kind of offering should be made, You have to get there too. This is also very important. This is true, very important. So anyway, right now we're talking about the unique emptiness that is only realized and understood by the Madyamaka. Is this basically the emptiness that is free from four extremes? Now, that being said, and like I said, it's language. It's so tricky. So, stay without any grasping, any thoughts. Anyone can say that. Anybody can say that. Definitely. Maybe even your, you go to I don't know, your local yoga guru might even tell you that same. Meditate, breathe in, breathe out. Now sit without thinking anything. Will sound very similar though. Other traditions might also say that, but remember, I told you, language is same, but then you have to ask the meaning. What does it mean? Then everything will come out. Here, what we talk about is, as Shantideva said, when neither existence nor non-existence doesn't remain any longer in front of the mind, mind having nothing else to grasp is without object and enters into nirvana. That is what we are talking about. And that is not some, how to say, very sort of foolish attempts to just not think about anything, not that. Whereas, with an understanding. So this kind of emptiness meditation then is accompanied with analytical meditation. So usually, in Tantra it's a bit different, but in Sutra, when you're meditating on emptiness, and then first you analyze, for example, yourself. Where am I? Am I the body, the mind? Where is the mind? Where is the body? Like that. And then you reach to a point where you do not find any of those. And then there is, remember I told you there is this kind of sort of letting go. Because you don't know what to think, what to grasp. And in that sort of letting go, then you remain. So these two has to go together. Analytical meditation and then one-pointed meditation. And he quotes a lot. You should read these. These are really good. In the 22nd page, he says, the practice of form as emptiness is the practice of science. The practice of form as not emptiness is the practice of science. Now, practice of science. Suk tong she chawane tsema la chodo. Suk mitong she chawane tsema la chodo. This is the Tibetan from the Prajnaparamita Sutra. What it means is that when you sit like this, you're sitting and you're meditating, form is emptiness, form is emptiness. That's not correct. He says that is extreme, one extreme. You are getting attached to the emptiness. Then if you think form is not emptiness, obviously that is an extreme. Yeah, so to try and go beyond extremes. He says again, 22nd page, where he quotes Nagarjuna. Arya Nagarjuna states, to relinquish all views, the Buddha taught the nectar-like emptiness. Whoever clings to this, you severely criticize. So, yeah, I was saying this, like medicine turning into poison. Then about now on the page 25th, he quotes Maitreya. This is very important quote. Dila salja chia me shabar chawa chungse me yanda nila yanda thona tholwar gyors. There is nothing to be dispelled. There is nothing to rest upon. Well, it's more like there is nothing to be dispelled or there's nothing to add. Dila salja chia me shabar chawa chungse me. Yangdak nila yangdak tas. Perfectly watch perfection. That's good. Perfectly. Yangdak thona tholwar gyors. If when you see the perfection, you will liberate. You will get liberated. Seeing this perfection liberates one. Yes. Again, don't mistake this with people saying you are perfect the way you are. It's good to say it to boost confidence. Of course, we need confidence. But when you overdo that, I actually had some Dharma teacher say things like that. Oh, you're perfect the way you are, like that. You have to be very careful because it sounds like this one. But if the meaning is not relate to the people, it's something else. Like everybody holding a lollipop and everybody smiling and happy, that kind of thing. We're not talking about that. It's talking about the ultimate reality of your mind, the true fabric of it. And if you can just return back to that, somehow if you can shake off all the rest and just remain in that, that's it. That's all you need. And you always have it, actually. Nobody took it from you. That's what it means. There's nothing to be dispelled. There's nothing to add. The true fabric of your mind has always been clean. All right. Well, the Sakyapa view now. Let's go there. On page 29. Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk says, this is the ultimate view, whatever the Madyamaka, Mahayana people are talking about. And you reach to this ultimate view when you exhaust all rational analysis. This is important. Yeah. And he says this is also the Sakyapa view, because he says on page 29, he says, Manjushri directly instructed the great Sakya Lama Kunga Nyingpo, saying, if grasping occurs, it is not the view. This is from the parting from the four attachment, where Manjushri appeared to Sachin Kunga Nyingpo when he was 12 years old, and he did 6 months retreat, and that was set. And here Manjushri is teaching a view that is without grasping, and this view is talking about the ultimate view, the wisdom mind. And there shouldn't be any grasping. If there is grasping, you're not there yet, basically. That's what he's saying. So grasping of what? Grasping of anything, any extremes or not. Then the next one is Mahasiddha Virupa. Now, our tradition comes from Virupa. This is important for us to know. And you should also know Virupa's biography. What did he do? Quite outrageous, this master. Unique also. Mahasiddha Virupa, he says, also the homage prayer to the Mahasiddha Virupa written by Sachin Kunga Nyingpo begins, the simultaneously born freedom from the conceptual. Alala de lenche total lays. It's actually not even written by him. He just spoke. It just came out of his mouth. Sachin Kunga Nyingpo. Lamde teaching, what Virupa taught, this great Indian Mahasiddha Virupa taught this. And then his teacher, his student Kanapa taught this to someone named Dhammarupa. Dhammarupa taught this to these are very special people. Okay. Dhammarupa was a kind of master. He had a very special Dhammaru, this drum that makes sounds. And when he beat it, The Dakinis have to dance, they have no choice. Then he taught it to Avadutipa. Avadutipa means without extreme. He was originally a king, but then he received teachings and he started practicing, and he lost all sort of, what do you call it? Grasping on this is nice, this is not nice. He would just sleep on the streets, like that, Avadutipa. Then Avadutipa to Gayadhara. This Gayadhara came to Tibet and met on Dogmi. Dogmi is a very special being now. Dogmi Lotsawa, the great translator. He received Lamdre, Virupa's teaching, and this view comes from there in this lineage. Dogmi, he was difficult, so he would give to those to whom he would teach the Tantra, he would not give the pit instruction. To those he would give pit instruction, he would not teach the Tantra. So none of his students received complete teachings, except one person called Setun Kundrik, very special master, this one. Setun then gave it to many people, but mainly Shang brothers, two brothers. Younger brother, when he was receiving, he was always making notes. The older brother was just meditating. At the end, the older brother became better, the main lineage holder anyway. Now, around that time, Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk was born. His father passed away very early on, before, not even sure his father even had Lamde, Kunkuncho Jabo. I think he had like a very short summary of Lamde, but from that he received from Setun, because Dogmi refused to teach him because he taught him Tantra, the three Tantras, so he wouldn't teach him Lamde. This Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk, so up until Sachin, this was never written down. And his teacher Shangtun tells him, you keep this secret for 18 years. After 18 years, do whatever you want. You teach, you don't teach. You want to write them down, write them down. Up until now, it's never been written down. It's kept that secret. His teacher passes away. His teacher is very, very special. He was a hidden yogi. He's a village sort of Lama type. Only when he died, when people were now trying to talk about him, they realized that somebody said, oh, last year during this day, around that time, he was at my place helping me build something. Someone else said, what are you talking about? He was in my village, in helping me in my field. And they realized this teacher was in 6 different places at the same time. Nobody understood until he died. Anyway, Shangtun was like that. Now the problem is, Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk, before the 18 years finished, he became very sick. He contracted let's just call it a sickness, and that caused him to forget everything. Every teaching he has received, he forgot it all. Most of the teachings, he looked at the text he had, and immediately he remembered. He was a great practitioner, but Lamde was the problem. He doesn't remember it. Master passed away. He doesn't know who else received it. It was that secret. While you're receiving it together with somebody, then you know, okay, this person knows, I know. If it's just you and your teacher doesn't tell you who else knows this, you don't know. So he didn't know. So he started praying to his teacher every day. Slowly his teacher began to appear in his dream and start teaching Lamde again. Then he actually appeared during daytime teaching Lamde. And as he prayed fervently, then Mahasiddha Virupa himself appeared and remained with him for a month, this appearance of Virupa, and taught him entire Lamde again. And at that time, Sachin Kunga Nyingpo sort of, out of his devotion, he sang the song, Alala te lenje total le, so freedom from all conceptual. Yeah. Now the Lamde view, the Sakyapa view, is based upon mainly Vajra Tantra. There have been people who say like, oh, this is very much Chitta Matra view, like Chitta Matra, like they haven't really got it, to be honest, or they're saying it for just as a sport, to have a back and forth. This has happened before, where scholars would just argue with each other so that the whole tradition will prosper. But the way of our school goes is that Nawa Simsutrupa, as in the 37 practices of Bodhisattva, there you see Jesumuchu Tome, this Sakya influence. He says, Chitarnawa dida rangi semni dune trebe tadang dal. Muchu Tome says, whatever appears is your own mind. Mind is free from all extremes from the beginning. That one. So the first step of this view is then proving the mind being the creator of all things, not knowingly, not willingly, but just yeah. No, seems like a dream appearance. When you dream, whatever you dream, it's your own mind. While dreaming, you're convinced this is real. This is really real. You're convinced. Actually, Satyapandita said in Pramana Yukta Nidhi, in his Pramana text, he said, actually, the only difference between a dream and awakened state is that the karma that causes the dream is very weak. And the karma that is causing this is very rigid and strong. And so this continues. I go to sleep, I wake up, similarly the same wall is there. Whereas I go to sleep every night, different dream. It doesn't continue. Imagine if every night you go to sleep and then you wake up in that dream world and it continues from yesterday, like, oh, okay, so now I wake up, brush my teeth. But this is not like that. In this Pramana text, you really get the marrow of our view. Now a sim. So maybe I don't even need to go into how appearances are merely mind, because yesterday we went through that. Remember that even the Sutantrikas, not only Chittamatra, even the Sutantrikas say that whatever appears to you is your own mind, right? The creation of your own mind, or appearance that appears to your own mind. It's not that there is no. And then here you can actually begin analyzing where do phenomena exist in reality, and you do not find true existing anywhere, yet you see them, yet you experience them. And so obvious answer is it's your own mind. If it's not really there, yet you keep seeing it there, it's your mind that is doing it. It's you that is doing it. So that's what it means. Now, sem appearance or now sem sudruba, whatever that appears is your own mind. This is kind of important, by the way. Now sem tup. Then the next step is sem juma, mind. So, okay, appearance is mind. Appearance doesn't truly exist, fine. It's just mere reflections of mind. So what it means is actually, remember yesterday I said, thinking, when you analyze the existence of yours, your own existence, or existence of mind, thinking that the body is the base, and then see where is the mind, that is actually quite a mistaken way of looking at it. Actually, this other way around. All of this coming, going, talking, form, it's all mere appearance in front of the mind. This appearance of this life, then Bardo, next life. Sort of nothing really goes anywhere, nothing comes from anywhere, So that we're talking about something like that. Then the mind itself, sem juma dubas, mind itself is illusory, they say. Illusory how? Illusory how? Like cause and effect. Remember that cause and effect. For an effect to arise in the next moment, previous moment, there has to be the cause and the exact cause. Like a mixture of color. If you add one color a bit more, this will be a different kind of color. It has to be the exact causes and conditions. And yet, how does the cause cause the effect? Inexpressible. So we don't know. So that not knowing is the illusoriness of it. Yeah. Yes. You should really aspire to receive Lamte. This one. Next time you go to see His Holiness Sakta teaching, don't ask for more. Don't ask for more, like, where should I go? What should I do? Ask for Lamde. Or if there's no time, just ask for, like, what is Korde Yerme? Can you please give me 5-minute summary, 10-minute summary of Korde Yerme, the Sakyapa view, the ultimate view, inseparability of samsara and nirvana? He will. Or he will give you what you need. This is what we really, really need, actually. All the rest is just support for this. Juma, mind itself is illusory. Yes, what is it anyway? Mind. Form at least exists in a way somewhere in this illusory world. Mind? Where does it exist? Nowhere. Think about it. Is it inside the body? Where? Is it outside the body? in between, where is this thing called mind? While you're saying it, it is the mind itself that is saying, where is this thing called mind? It does not find itself while experiencing itself. That is illusoriness of it. And so this appearance being mind being illusory, and then mind, its illusory nature, and then its functionality works together perfectly. Tendril, dependent origination, that one. And it is also inexplicable, it beyond expression, let's say, beyond expression. To really say, is it one, separate, how is it? Now, at least intellectually, you're getting some taste of remain without grasping. This is what it means. Remain without, because what are you going to grasp? What are you going to think? Are you going to think it's like this? Like what? Okay, there's a lot. I'm not going to go through this. And actually, someone like me is like, but I shouldn't even be talking about these things. And these are things that you should hear from practitioners, not people like me. But although I really, what do you call it, tease my friends who believe in signs and auspiciousness and whatever, dream astrology, more. I myself, recently my root guru has been saying, oh, maybe focus on the Satyapa view. Then with this request to talk about this text, it's like coming together at the same time. So I thought it's kind of auspicious. So I attempted to do that. But if you really want to know, listen to someone such a teaching, someone like him. It's really, this will give you a whole, and whatever I said, just as not even properly scratching the surface. If you really go through Lamde, wow, this will change the way you look at your body, look at things outside and inside, the interdependentness of everything. And if you really practice, things could get weird. All right. There are a lot of questions. If you have realized emptiness and are on the first bhumi, and then you die on a reborn as human, do you remember your past realization? Yes, you do. You do. You remember everything. Matter of fact, you remember, I think 100 lives or 1,000 lives, something like that. Not only the past life. So why do realized teachers have to study again? I don't know. I really don't know. They seem to have to study again. Some have been very special, never studied in their life and have been exceptional. But these are very few. Mostly have to, I don't know, ask them. Okay, then there is a Zen. Then what about when one realizes one is dreaming? Oh, this can happen. It's neither good nor bad. It's what happens, what you do after that. I think. Mm. This I don't know what April is asking. We hear of Samdhya Bhasha, which is sometimes translated as trident language. How can it be described? I don't know. Yeah, probably, yeah. What do you mean exactly by mind is creator of all things? Do you mean that the cause of a computer appearing is mind? Could an enlightened being manifest an object just out of his own mind? Mind is the creator of all things. See, you are asking this question as if the mind creates phenomena knowingly or willingly. Where when we say mind is creator of all things, is because it is the when you analyze phenomena themselves, you do not find them anywhere, their essence or their whatever. Yet you see them, and so you blame the mind, like a dream appearance. The dream, there could be 100 elephants in this room, and I see that. But when you really look, how can there be 100 elephants in this room? And so I have to blame my mind. It's my dream. If it's not there, yet you see it. If it's not really there, yet it's you see. So you are the issue. In that way, we are saying mind is creator. It's not like mind wanted to create computer and it created computer. That's really not what it means at all. It's much more subtle than that. But please keep asking this to yourself and to the teachers. This is really good. Can an enlightened being manifest an object out of their own mind? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. I'm running out of things to say. And like I said, view ultimately doesn't come from studying, by the way. The wisdom, what we're talking about wisdom, not from studying, also not really from meditating, just like sitting straight or really not really from being a good boy or a girl, like just and telling others, hey, don't do that, this is wrong, do like this, don't eat this, don't say this. None of those comes from deep conviction. That conviction in here towards the Guru, towards Buddha, Dharma, mostly the teaching of the Buddha and the Gurus, and your trust in it. And that can only, that kind of trust is really, really strange. It comes only through merit, and actually longing for it. I don't think we really long for it. Yes, we want it. We want wisdom, all that. But I have to go out. I have to do this and do that. But if someone says, okay, you really want wisdom, I don't know, like abandon this or do retreat for this many months or years, we'll break apart. It's like we do want it, but not really. It's like if enlightenment is on auction, being auctioned, you will bid like 10 euro, 20 euro. You go until 150, then you're like, oh well, it's out of my reach, I need to go here, do this, buy that. I'm sorry, it's like that for most of us. A bit like that for me, so I don't know. Yeah, but you really have to yearn for it. And yeah, all right. So yes, thank you so much for Ken Muchila and Anila and the center, all of those who helped, and for myself, it's just to remember my teacher Khenchen Kunga Wangchuk, say his name, and these masters have spent so much time and energy on degenerates like myself, and at the end I am wasting away in some German village. So I always feel like what do you call it, a failure. So but at least I can talk a little bit about what they wrote. It's like yeah. So thank you so much, and all right, have a great year. You guys look great. I see many of you. Gosh.
Rinpoche, on behalf of all of us, I want to say from our hearts that we're deeply, deeply grateful for your kindness and your wisdom. From our side, lacking sufficient merit, and certainly lacking the wisdom to understand these concepts, we're still in the area of trying to develop ourselves. And so your kindness in explaining not only these ideas, but how to develop them is so precious for us. And so we're really, really grateful. Even though your knowledge, of course, can't be transmitted into our heads, what you have transmitted, I think, is the enthusiasm, the desire, the wish to bid, if not 150 euros, at least 150,000 euros to someday get enlightenment through this wisdom. So that's very, very, very precious. And so showing us the excitement of this topic and transmitting your love of it and your wisdom has been truly helpful for all of us. So thank you very, very much from our hearts. And we pray that in the future, through your guidance and that of all of our other holy teachers, our Sakyapa masters, that we may eventually attain perfect enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Thank you, Rinpoche, from our hearts.
So, Kadenche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Gracias.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you all.
Yeah, Khenchen and Kusering Rinpoche.
Lasso. All right.
Come back in Switzerland, please, Rinpoche.
Take care. Amen.
Rinpoche, please come and visit Walden.
Where?
Please do.
Lasso.
Please come back to Brazil.
Yes, Brazil.
What do I do now? Do I leave or do I stay here and wait?
Come to New Mexico, Rinpoche.
You can manifest 6 people. Manifest
Take
just
care of
6
yourselves and see you. Yeah, here and there.
Many blessings.
Thank you.
Eat something nice, wear something nice. Lasso.
Thank you, Rinpoche. See you next time.
The team. Ça y est. Ah.